Hola, cage fighting connoisseurs. This is KidNativeBloodyElbow.com bringing you the infamous and patented. No, that's the Care Don't Care preview. This thing is rightfully infamous, though. This is the Bathrobe review, UFC 178, in which I crawl out of bed in the morning after staying up all night covering a UFC event and give you my morning after thoughts. I got to say, I'm still high on afterglow from last night's mayhem. What a card. I had a shit main event. I mean, the fight itself was great, or fine, but it was just such an anticlimax after such a great and meaningful card to see the flyweight championship fight between Demetrius Johnson and Chris Carriazo for two reasons. One, nobody cares about the flyweights, which is too bad and unfair, and the way they were marketed. I think the flyweights were brought to us on versus TV in the WEC in that little cage for free on Sunday nights. I think people would be really fond of them, and I think people would give them a chance and admire the skill and grit of these competitors. But since they're being slapped on the top of pay-per-views just based on the premise of, well, we got a UFC belt, that's big doings. No, it's not, and fans are rejecting it violently. I mean, they're walking out of the arena during the headlining fight. That is so fucked up and sad, and makes me feel bad. Anyway, the rest of the card, though, oh my god, it was such a stacked card, so much meaning. A couple of duds on the prelims, but overall, this is a must-watch event. Watch it now. Get one of the late pay-per-view plays. Watch it on Yahoo. Watch it legally, of course, but watch it. Let me run through. Overall, I'd give it 4.5 stars, maybe 4 3/4 stars. I mean, the only thing really holding it back is that there was the looming shadow of John Jones versus Daniel Cormier over this card. What if we had a light heavyweight title fight between Jones and Cormier? Victor Rodriguez on a special guest on my 6th round last night, since Zane Simon and Connor Rubish and Dallas Winston all bailed on me. Victor stepped up and he was saying, well, you don't know what kind of fight Jones and Cormier would have been. It could have been a shit show. Entirely possible. I mean, it makes you think of Rashad Evans, Rampage Jackson, or other bouts. Rampage Jackson, King Mo, and Bellator on their pay-per-view, where there's all this heat and all this rivalry, and then you get in the cage and it dissipates into a lame fight, and neither guy's on their game. I don't think that's going to happen with Jones and Cormier, but I could be wrong. I think the key thing with those other fights you're thinking about is they weren't title fights. This one is a title fight. Both guys are at or near their peak. So coulda, woulda, shoulda. It would have been bigger for sure with the interest in that fight. And too bad, because the rest of this card deserved to be sucked into that spotlight, not dragged down by a flyweight fight. And again, no disrespect to Mighty Mouse. Great fighter, great fight. I mean, he's finishing. Chris Carriazo, I don't think really deserved a title fight necessarily, but it is what it is. But in this day and age of UFC market oversaturation, it was a damn good card. So let's run through it top to bottom. I'll give it the star review and the watch now, later, or never rating, because some of y'all hate that, so I'd love to bug you. Anyway, first up, there were 2 fights on the UFC Fight Pass card. Manny Gamburian against Cody Gibson. Gibson was whipping his ass, and Manny comes back and gets the guillotine submission. I would watch this fight now. It's 2 rounds long, action-packed. A fighter we know in Manvel Gamburian, a guy we're getting down, Cody Gibson. I would give it 3.5. Hell, I'd give it 4 stars. It's a 4-star fight in and of itself. I mean, the only thing holding it back is that okay, I'd give it 3.5 stars because Manny looked like shit, frankly. He looked old. He looked small. He looked slow. He was winging punches and missing wildly and badly. Cody Gibson was beating the bejesus out of him for most of 2 rounds, and then falls into a guillotine choke. And Gamburian is strong as hell and has a good guillotine choke, and tapped Cody Gibson for the comeback win, and then called out Brian Caraway. Manny Gamburian trains with Ronda Rousey, of course. There's some drama there. Brian Caraway, obviously the boyfriend of Rousey rival Miesha Tate, the one that I believe Caraway's alleged to have elbowed one of Tate's opponents in the back of the head. It wasn't Rousey, was it? Was it Rousey? Maybe it was Rousey. Anyway, so shrewd marketing from Manny Gamburian. This guy's not anywhere near a title shot, but that's a fight some people would pay attention to if they book it. Caraway, I think, is onward and upward, though. Second fight, Kevin Lee versus John Tuck. I'd give this one 2 stars, and I'd go ahead and skip it. There's no point in watching this one. Back and forth fight. Kevin Lee might be of some interest. John Tuck didn't look that good. There was tons of nut shots, so much so that Lee got docked a point, but he lost on all 3 judges' cards 30-26. So he lost every round anyway. You know, it wasn't the worst fight I've ever seen, but it wasn't that good. So with a card this good, just go ahead and skip it. And then the Fox Sports 1 prelims, that goes double for Brian Ebersol versus John Howard. I'd give this one 2 stars, tops, maybe 1.5 stars. Just a boring, tedious, terrible fight between 2 guys I'm familiar with and like, but Ebersol was hell-bent on doing the hug and mug and the wall install, and Howard had no answers, and it was just boring and tedious. Just skip this shit show. Just skip it, because and then you get welterweights, Stephen Thompson and Patrick Cote. I'd give this one maybe 2.5 stars, maybe 3 stars. I mean, you'd think, you know, Wonder Boy Thompson's karate skills versus a really solid Muay Thai guy and Patrick Cote, but it ended up being a pretty boring fight. Cote was going with leg kicks early on, and I'd watch it later, way later. If you're really a big Stephen Wonder Boy Thompson fan, give it a view. He did some cool techniques, but he didn't go for the kill when he had the chance. And just basically toyed with Cote. Cote was starting out going with leg attacks, but then Thompson started countering with punches to the face, and then Cote basically gave up. And Thompson hurt him badly a couple times. So overall, not a terrible fight, but disappointing. And then George Masvidal, James Krause. I crapped on this one on Twitter the first round and got a lot of heat. And in retrospect, it's a much better fight than I thought it was at the time. But it just after 3 shitty fights in a row, or 3 disappointing fights in a row, I was like not in the mood to watch a good but not very action-packed round of technical striking. Masvidal, though, dismantled James Krause for 3 rounds. Looked good doing it. Not sure how one of the judges gave Krause a round. I didn't see that. Masvidal on the cusp of breaking into lightweight contention, but I think he's just always there. I think when we've seen him against really the better guys in the lightweight division, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. His fight with Melendez was pretty good, and so with Gilbert Melendez, who's going to be fighting for the UFC title. So Masvidal, on his fight with Rustam Khabilov, he had his moments in that one too. So I don't know. We'll see. It could be fun to see Masvidal. Would definitely be fun to see Masvidal against almost anybody in the top 15. I mean, I'd like to see him. Let's see. Miles Jury might be a heck of a fight for him. I think that could be really interesting. Anyway, on to the next one. Dominick Cruz versus Takeya Mizugaki. I never thought I'd say this. 5 stars, 4 stars. I never give 5 stars to a blowout fight like that. Minute 1 second TKO. Watch it now. Dominick Cruz is back. He looked awesome. Mizugaki is a favorite of mine. Tough as nails. Cruz destroyed him. We've never seen Cruz destroy anybody before. Not like that. It looked like young BJ Penn. Maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration, but it looks awesome. Great performance. Glad to see Dominick Cruz back. Get this kid in a title fight against TJ Dillashaw immediately. I think Cruz absolutely deserves it. Mizugaki was ranked number 5. Cruz never lost his belt. He just had to give it up because of 3 years of injuries, being on the shelf. So give him a crack at TJ Dillashaw. Let's see what he can do, and then go from there. I mean, just very exciting to have Cruz back. And that brings us to the main pay-per-view card, which overall, I'd give this 4.5 stars for a pay-per-view. The only thing holding it back is the headliner. I mean, go figure. But anyway, Kat Zingano, Amanda Nunes women's bantamweight fight. Badass back and forth scrap. Both these ladies are just tough as shit, just vicious, mean, ugly fight. And I've come to the point where it doesn't shock me and disturb me to see women getting punched in the face by other women anymore. I'm sure it would still bother me to see men beating up women, but this, I was just able to enjoy it as a fight between 2 really skilled and really gutsy and tough athletes. And Zingano, starts slow. She let Nunes have her way with her in the first round, but got that TKO finish in the 3rd round. Just a brutal, brutal broad, that Kat Zingano. I think she's a real threat to Ronda Rousey. I think her slow start and her weak wrestling give Rousey the overwhelming edge. But I think if Zingano can ride out the storm, she's got the power to hurt Rousey in a way that we haven't seen from other competitors. So I think she's a real danger to take the title. I think Amanda Nunes is tough too, and I would like to see her get a shot against Rousey, but that probably won't happen for a while. So maybe Rousey and Kat Zingano. I'd rather see Rousey fight Gina Carano. That won't happen. I'd rather see her fight Chris Cyborg. That won't happen anytime soon. I'd like to see her fight Holly Holm. That won't be happening anytime soon. So Zingano is totally under title shot. Let's make it happen in January. I would watch that fight now. I'd give it 4.5 stars because it was a back and forth fight with stakes, high stakes, and a lot of skill. And next, middleweights, Joel Romero and Tim Kennedy. Holy shit! I'd give this some 5 stars just because it was a great back and forth fight with a shit show of a controversy right in the middle of it. Because Joel Romero got essentially knocked out in the end of the second round, was saved by the bell, staggered back to his stool, and his corner, either through ineptitude or deliberate cheating, got an extra 37 seconds for him, almost doubled the break between rounds for Romero, who was visibly hurt at the end of the round. I mean, really staggering around and out of it. They covered him with so much Vaseline. There was just a clusterfuck. John McCarthy should have called the fight a TKO when Romero wasn't able to answer the bell at the 1 minute mark. He didn't do that, and Romero comes back and knocks Kennedy the fuck out. Amazing. You rarely see a fight with 2 legitimate TKO finishes in one fight, with both guys winning and both guys losing. In this case, Joel Romero is the official winner. But Tim Kennedy's got plenty of controversy to milk. He's got a big mouth. This is going to be one we're going to be hearing about. Watch it now. Like I said, 4.5 stars, maybe 5 stars. I mean, just a perfect MMA fight, like everything you want from cage fighting: mayhem, chaos, controversy, skill, heart, bravery, momentum swings, technique. Just badass. Look forward to seeing both of these guys. I'd like to see a rematch, frankly, although I think it'd probably disappoint because that's just the nature of life. But otherwise, Kennedy was ranked number 6. Joel Romero was ranked number 10. Otherwise, there's plenty of guys for these guys to fight. I like to see Kennedy versus Gegard Mousasi, maybe. Joel Romero. I don't know who would be a good one. I was thinking, Jacare's out there and doesn't have a title shot, but I'd hate to make Jacare go through Yoel Romero to get a title shot after all he's been through. But maybe maybe Yoel Romero and Michael Bisping, just to be a dick. Anyway, but maybe a rematch is the best for that. Anyway, that brings us to Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier. Conor McGregor is a fucking star. I've been resistant to this, but there's no doubt in my mind this guy's a breakout star. This guy, he made the glove touch just an amazing drama of goading. I mean, he definitely has that Muhammad Ali air. And inside the cage, he's got the Mike Tyson air. I would give this fight 4 stars. Watch it now. He demolishes Dustin Poirier. Some controversy about blows to the back of the head. The very first shot that knocked him down was a punch to the back of the head. But when you duck and you're standing, that's fair game. I mean, he ducked into the punch that way. However, some of the hammer fists on the ground, maybe an elbow on the ground, were possibly illegal shots to the back of the head. Possibly not, but it was a done deal. I mean, McGregor's just too fast. His striking's too slick, too unconventional. I love his style. Just amazing, cutting edge of MMA, karate style. Not Muay Thai style at all. Southpaw, but Poirier's a southpaw too. It didn't seem to phase McGregor. It was just awesome. First round TKO, minute 46. He wants that title shot. I want to see him get it. I mean, fuck putting him in against some wrestler. Like, let's get the big fight, and then we can see. Let's see if he can handle Jose Aldo or Chad Mendez, whoever wins that next fight. And if one of them gets hurt, let's see if McGregor can live up to his bragging and his claims that he wants to jump in there and substitute. Let's do it. And then that brings us to the lightweight co-main event. Donald Cerrone turns back Eddie Alvarez. This was a 5-star fight. Watch it now. Back and forth. First round, it looked like fried Takaya. I mean, Eddie Alvarez had the collar tie on and was uppercut, hook, and didn't seem to phase Cerrone. Unbelievable. I knew at that point that Alvarez was done, even though he was lighting up Cerrone on the inside throughout the first round. If you can't knock Cerrone out with your best shots, you're not going to beat him, especially if you let him survive the first round. And he don't have a kicking game. I mean, Cerrone from there, it was knees, it was kicks, and got the unanimous decision. I think he could have beat him in the third round, but like Cerrone said, he was tired and done, and he followed Alvarez to the ground and didn't get the finish. That's maybe I'd knock it down to 4.5 stars, because if he'd got the finish, it would have been a 5-star fight. As is, though, maybe Alvarez should move down to featherweight. I don't think this is a knock on the quality of Bellator fighters. I think Michael Chandler could walk into the UFC lightweight division and make a big impact. We've seen, from Strikeforce and WEC, the way those organizations have taken over the UFC's lightweight division. It's very hard to. I mean, all it takes is one great fighter to come in and beat everybody else. I mean, it's such a unique, relativistic sport. I don't think you can say, even though the quality overall of the UFC fighters is so much better than the quality of Bellator's division overall, the very elite fighters can beat each other on any given day. And I think the Bellator guys are definitely in the top 15. And I don't know, Alvarez might not be a perfect fit for the UFC lightweight division just because I think he's a little small, but I still want to see him against Gilbert Melendez. Love to see him in the featherweight mix. And Cerrone, maybe he's earned his title shot at this point. I mean, Khabib Nurmagomedov has definitely earned a title shot. Rafael Dos Anjos is ahead of him in line because he beat him. But then Cerrone's right there. I don't know I think Bobby Green is still a good opponent for him. Miles Jury could be a good opponent for him. For Alvarez, maybe Josh Thompson would be a good opponent for Alvarez for his next fight, or move down to the featherweight division. And that brings us to the main event, Demetrius Johnson and Chris Carriazo. Johnson did his job. I'd watch it now because it's only 2 rounds, 2 minutes, 29 seconds, the second round. Kimura, it won't hurt you to watch this fight. Stick around. You paid for the ticket. You watched all the other fights. Why leave the arena before the headliner's over? That's just some brutal demonstration of crowd psychology right there. Sad that Mighty Mouse gets that lack of respect, but it's the way the UFC is mismarketing him and trying to force him down fans' throats, and people don't want to pay $55 to watch a flyweight title fight. That's just the reality of it. So, let's try to get Mighty Mouse back on free TV. I think he's getting pretty good ratings. So they're just desperate. They run too many events, and they're desperate for headliners. So there we are. But overall, 4.5-star card. Great night of fights. The UFC still delivers a great product for those of us that are just absolutely addicted to cage fighting mayhem. Mixed martial arts fun. Anyway, so Eugene will be back tomorrow with the Knuckle Up, and then we'll have the usual care, don't care, and the MMA vivisections for the UFC fight night this weekend in Sweden, I believe. Gunnar Nelson versus Rick Story, which is going to be happening on Fight Pass on October 4th in Sweden. So it's going to be in the early afternoon American time on Fight Pass. And I think there's a Bellator as well. And so we'll have all the usual previews of that stuff. So this is Kid Nate. Adios, MMA aficionados. Remember to give us a like on this video on YouTube. That's the thumb below the screen. Subscribe to MMANation.com on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter at Kid Nate, although I don't tweet about cage fighting. Follow at BloodyElbow.com on Twitter for your cage fighting stuff. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Adios, MMA aficionados.